lead and used fake documents to get the interview with my mother, made wild and false claims about the royal family, which made her scared and more paranoid. For many years, the world has been amazed by Princess Diana's life and what she left behind. Her kindness, grace, and special bond with regular people made her the people's princess. But behind all the glamorous pictures was a mum who loved her kids more than anything else. Now, after years of keeping it secret, a long-lost letter from Diana to her oldest son, Prince William, has finally been found. What did she want him to know? Join us as we discover the shocking things in Princess Diana's lost letter to Prince William and the secrets it tells us. Diana's personal letters. It all started quietly, almost without anyone noticing. In the list of items at a London auction house in July 2004, there were no big headlines, no major announcements, just a simple listing of handwritten letters from the late Princess Diana. But these weren't just any letters. They were very personal, giving us a rare and honest look into her private world. Among all the letters, one letter stood out right away. It talked about her oldest son, Prince William, in a way that showed just how much he meant to her. The auction, organized by SS, had Diana's personal letters with Violet Collison, a woman who had been more than just a housekeeper. She was someone the Spencer family trusted for many years. Violet had watched Diana change from a shy young girl into the most famous woman on the planet, and these letters showed that journey. Unlike official palace papers, which were often carefully written and polished, these letters were raw and personal. They showed the emotional ups and downs of Diana's life. Her struggles with royal rules, the crazy chaos of getting ready for a wedding watched by millions, and most of all, the good times and bad times of being a mother. One really sweet letter dated July 8, 1981, just weeks before her wedding to Prince Charles, showed a picture of a young bride-to-be caught in a whirlwind of last-minute preparations. Yet, even with all the craziness around her, Diana's words had a playful, light-hearted feeling. Everyone's running around here fixing up last-minute stuff, but the bride's keeping her cool. This small comment hinted at the warmth and relatability that made her so loved by regular people. But as the years went by, her letters became more serious. The carefree excitement of a young princess changed into deeper feelings. Frustration, worry, and most of all, an unbreakable love for her two sons. What made these letters so amazing wasn't just what Diana wrote, but the feelings behind her words. They showed a mother who was always thinking about her children's happiness, their well-being, and their future. Though the world had seen Diana through photos, documentaries, and dramatic interviews, these handwritten messages offered something different. They weren't meant for the public to see. They were quiet, personal, and intimate, proof of just how much she wanted her sons to grow up with kindness and compassion, something that was often hard to hold on to inside the palace walls. One really touching letter dated June 21, 1989, showed this perfectly. Written on official Kensington Palace paper. It was sent to Sergeant George Plum of the Special Escort Group, thanking him for organizing a motorcycle show for Prince William's 7th birthday. Diana's thankfulness was clear as she wrote, "It was so nice of you and your team to come here today for William's birthday. I can't even tell you how much joy the show brought to all those kids and their moms." But what made this letter even more special was that it wasn't just signed by Diana. Next to her name were the small, excited scribbles of William and Harry. It was a rare look into a simple, happy family moment, far away from the constant media watching. For those who followed Diana's life, these letters were more than just sentimental keepsakes. They brought back discussions about her complicated relationship with the royal family and her strong determination to raise her sons differently, unlike the generations before her, where royal children were often raised in strict formality with little direct parent involvement. Diana broke the rules. She wanted William and Harry to have a childhood that felt real, filled with experiences that regular children had. According to her former royal bodyguard, Ken Worf, Diana made a deliberate effort to show them the world beyond the palace gates. She took them to amusement parks, let them eat at fast food restaurants, and even rode public buses with them, not as a publicity stunt, but because she really wanted them to understand life outside of royalty. But was Princess Diana the mother who made sure her sons never lost touch with the real world? Let's take a closer look. Diana's protection for her children. Princess Diana was not just a royal figure. She was a devoted mother who wanted her sons, William and Harry, to grow up with experiences beyond the walls of the palace. She believed that despite their royal status, they should know what life was like for regular children. Diana made it a point to take them on trips where they could talk with people from all walks of life, making sure they didn't grow up in a bubble of privilege. At the same time, she was fiercely protective of them, understanding the constant pressure of the media. She worked with palace officials to arrange official photo sessions, allowing the public to see key moments in her children's lives, such as their first day of school or family vacations. But in return, she asked for privacy, trying to shield them from the constant watching that came with being a royal dot. It was a careful balancing act, giving the press just enough access to satisfy public curiosity, while keeping her sons right to a normal childhood. Andrew Morton, in his book, Diana, Her True Story, revealed how deeply she struggled with the media's intrusion. She had lived under its harsh spotlight and knew the damage it could cause, especially to a child. Her letters about William weren't just casual updates. They were heartfelt looks into a mother's love, a record of her devotion to preparing him for the life ahead, while also protecting him from its harshest realities. By the time these letters came back at an auction in 2004, William was no longer a boy. He was a young man at university, carrying forward the lessons his mother had taught him. The letters, filled with motherly pride and wisdom, gave a deeper look into his character, showing how Diana's influence shaped him. Came at a time when the world was still mourning her loss. Just 7 years after her tragic death, the monarchy was still adjusting to the changes she had started, and William's growing presence in the public. I made many see him as Diana's emotional heir. But these letters were more than just historical artifacts. They were a touching reminder of what had been lost. Diana never got to see her sons grow into adulthood, never got to witness them build their own families or champion causes she would have been proud of. Yet through these handwritten notes, her voice lived on, not in carefully crafted speeches or formal appearances, but in her own words, filled with warmth and sincerity. What began as an auction became something far more meaningful. The rediscovered letters allowed people to feel Diana's presence once more. They revealed her deep love for William. Diana's legacy as a mother wasn't just about letters or photographs. It was about the choices she made every single day. Some of those choices were bold. Some were quiet acts of rebellion against royal traditions. But at the heart of it all was one simple truth. Before William and Harry were global figures, they were just two young boys with an amazing mother. Diana understood that with their privilege came huge pressure, and from the very beginning, she was determined to give them more than just titles. Did her children's upbringing show character, compassion, and a connection to the world beyond the palace gates? Let's find out. Diana's parenting style. On June 21st, 1982, Princess Diana became a mother for the first time when she gave birth to Prince William. At just 20 years old, her change into motherhood was immediate and deeply life. It wasn't just a role she accepted. It was a mission she embraced with her whole heart. Unlike previous royal mothers who often followed strict traditions, Diana chose to do things differently. She didn't want to be a distant figure in her children's lives. She wanted to be present in every way possible. She broke royal rules by breastfeeding William, a decision that had been almost unheard of in the royal family for generations. She even picked his name herself instead of allowing the palace to decide. More importantly, she pushed back against the idea that royal nannies should do most of the parenting. Diana was determined to be a hands-on mother, not just a figurehead. Her devotion became even more clear when just a few weeks after William was born, Prince Charles had to travel to Australia. Traditionally, royal children would stay behind in the care of staff, but Diana refused to leave her newborn son. She brought William along, sending a clear message. No royal duty was more important than being there for her child. As William grew, Diana continued to go against expectations. Instead of hiring private tutors to teach him inside the palace, as had been done for past royal children, she enrolled him in a local nursery school near Kensington Palace. Parents and bystanders were often amazed to see a princess personally dropping off and picking up her son, something almost unheard of in royal history. This wasn't just a small act of independence. It was a quiet revolution in royal parenting. But Diana's efforts to give her children a normal life didn't stop there. She made sure William and his yoke. It was filled with everyday moments that any child would love. She took them to McDonald's not because she particularly enjoyed fast food, but because she wanted them to experience what regular kids did. She took them on the London Underground, let them enjoy theme parks, and surrounded them with people who didn't bow or address them in formal tones. These weren't just casual outings. They were carefully planned lessons. Diana wanted her boys to see life from all perspectives, to understand the world outside of their royal bubble. According to her former protection officer Ken Worf, she carefully arranged these trips, choosing the quietest times and minimizing security. Sometimes she even wore subtle disguises to move unnoticed among the public. She wasn't just giving them a childhood, she was teaching them empathy, a lesson that would shape them for years to come. Her desire to teach compassion became even clearer when she introduced her sons to her charity work. In one particularly impactful moment, she brought William to visit Centrepoint, a charity dedicated to helping young homeless people in London. Here, he met children and teenagers who had grown up without families, without education, and without a place to call home. For Diana, this wasn't just about exposing William to the struggles of others. It was about making sure he understood the responsibility that came with his privileged position through her love, her defiance of outdated traditions, and her unwavering commitment to her children. Diana didn't just change the way royal parenting was done, she redefined it entirely. So, how close was Diana to her children? Let's find out. The unbreakable bond between Diana, William, and Harry. By the early 1990s, Diana's marriage to Prince Charles was falling apart, and the world watched as their relationship fell apart. But amid the chaos of royal life, relentless media speculation, personal heartbreak, and palace politics, Diana found her steady ground in one place: her sons, William and Harry. More than ever, she poured her energy into their upbringing, determined to shield them from the turbulence surrounding her. Diana made deliberate parenting choices that would shape her boys for years to come. She carefully selected schools that prioritized both privacy and emotional well-being, choosing Wetherill School and Ludgrove, known for their nurturing environments. But she didn't just send them off and hope for the best. She worked closely with school staff to ensure that, at least within the classroom walls, William and Harry could experience a sense of normalcy. When Charles and Diana officially separated in 1992, the challenge of co-parenting under the relentless public eye began. Yet, Diana remained deeply involved in her sons' daily lives. She attended school events, cheered them on at sports days, and personally wrote thank you notes to staff. Small gestures that spoke volumes about her unwavering dedication. Many of those handwritten notes have since resurfaced in auctions, serving as real reminders of a mother who never let royal duties overshadow her role as a parent. By 1995, when Diana sat down for her now famous interview with journalist Martin Basher, watched by over 22 million people, the world saw the undeniable cracks in the royal facade. But even in that moment, Diana's priority remained clear. Boys, she spoke openly about wanting to raise them with kindness, love, and resilience, emphasizing emotional intelligence over royal protocol. It was a rare and powerful moment, a princess placing humanity above tradition. Shortly after the interview, Queen Elizabeth II urged Diana to finalize her divorce, a sign that the royal family had reached its breaking point. According to her former butler, Paul Burrell, Diana was devastated. She reportedly felt as though she was being pushed out, her voice unheard. Yet, even as the palace walls closed in, she found comfort in her sons. William and Harry became her anchor, the unshakable force that kept her grounded through the storm. Her divorce was finalized on August 28, 1996. Diana lost her title of Her Royal Highness, a formality that deeply hurt her, not for political reasons, but for something far more personal. Without the title, royal protocol dictated that one day she would have to curtsy to her own sons. When she confided this to William, his response was both simple and profound. The 14-year-old reportedly reassured her, saying, "Don't worry, Mummy, I'll give it back to you one day when I'm king." Though William has never confirmed the story himself, it speaks to the deep mutual respect and love between them. With her royal duties behind her, Diana refocused her energy on the causes she cared about most: homelessness, HIV awareness, and the fight to ban landmines. No longer representing the monarchy, she now represented her own values. Even as she stepped away from the spotlight, she never stopped writing heartfelt notes to friends, staff, and supporters. And in nearly every letter, one theme remained constant: her boys. She wrote about William's kindness, Harry's boundless energy, and her hopes for their futures. She worried about the pressure they would face, hoping they would grow up with integrity and independence. Diana had come to accept that she couldn't control the future, but she could shape it. Through her love, her choices, and her words, she left her sons with something the institution could never fully provide: empathy, courage, and the strength to be their own men. Her parenting wasn't about royal duty or tradition. It was about showing up, listening, and loving in a way that was real and unwavering. She tucked them in at night, wrote them letters, and spoke the truth, even when it was difficult. Diana and Charles' separation. In 1992, the official separation between Princess Diana and Prince Charles was announced, marking a turning point in Diana's life. From that moment on, the atmosphere inside Kensington Palace changed dramatically. While she no longer shared a home with Charles, her responsibilities as a mother to William and Harry remained her top priority. If anything, she became even more devoted to providing them with emotional support. At the time, William was just 10 years old, and Harry was only 8, making their need for stability even greater. Diana took charge of their daily lives, staying deeply involved in their school routines and weekend plans. As the public watched the royal marriage unravel, Diana began to open up about her personal struggles. One of the most shocking moments came on June 29, 1994, when Charles admitted on national television that he had been unfaithful. Less than a year later, on November 20, 1995, Diana responded in her own way through an explosive BBC Panorama interview. In the 38-minute broadcast, she spoke openly about the challenges of royal life, her struggles with mental health, and her deep loneliness. But what struck a chord with the public most was her heartfelt discussion about her children. She expressed her wish for William and Harry to grow up, not just with formal royal training, but with emotional intelligence. She wanted them to truly understand the emotions and lives of ordinary people. Her words resonated deeply, reaching over 22 million viewers in the UK alone. Diana's candid revelations had far-reaching consequences within the royal family. The response was swift and decisive. Queen Elizabeth II, after consulting with key advisors, including the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Prime Minister, sent letters to both Diana and Charles, urging them to proceed with a formal divorce. According to royal insiders, including biographers Tina Brown and Sally Bedell-Smith, Diana was devastated by this decision. Her former butler, Paul Burrell, later revealed that she had hoped for more time and space, not a complete separation from royal life. But the process moved forward, and after months of negotiations over finances, property, and custody arrangements, the divorce was finalized on August 28, 1996. With the divorce came significant changes to Diana's status. She retained the title of Princess of Wales, but lost the formal styling of Her Royal Highness. This meant that technically she would now have to curtsy to her former husband, her sons, and other senior royals. While this might have seemed like a mere formality, it was deeply symbolic for Diana. She felt it was a final rejection, a door closed permanently. Paul Burrell recounted a particularly emotional moment during which Diana confided in her eldest son, William, the 14-year-old prince. Seeing his mother's distress, reportedly comforted her by saying, "Don't worry, Mummy. I'll give it back to you one day when I'm king." Although this exchange has never been officially confirmed by the palace, it remains one of the most touching examples of the close bond between Diana and William. Following her departure from royal duties, Diana embraced a new chapter of life, one defined more by her personal values than by royal protocol. She stepped away from over 100 patronages, choosing instead to focus on a handful of causes that truly mattered to her. These included Central Point, Great Ormond Street Hospital, the Royal Marsden Hospital, the National AIDS Trust, and the Leprosy Mission. Even though she was no longer a working royal, her dedication to humanitarian efforts only grew stronger. Despite being out of the royal fold, Diana's top priority remained her two sons. She structured her life around their school schedules, attended parent-teacher meetings, and remained actively involved in their upbringing. Reports from school staff and close friends described her as an engaged and loving mother who was always reachable. Yet this period of her life was also marked by a growing sense of isolation. Without royal security and the formal support system she once had, she often felt vulnerable and exposed. In personal letters and notes, some later revealed by Paul Burrell, Diana expressed fears for her safety. In one chilling letter, dated October 1995, "This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous. My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, and serious head injury." Though the authenticity of the letter has been verified, its contents remain highly controversial. Whether or not her fears were justified, they painted a picture of a woman who felt constantly watched and deeply unsettled. Yet, despite these pressures, Diana never wavered in her commitment to making a difference. In January 1997, she traveled to Angola with the International Red Cross to campaign against landmines, Images of her walking through a recently cleared minefield, clad in protective gear, became some of the most powerful and enduring photographs of her later life. It was a testament to her bravery and her belief in using her platform to bring attention to global issues. Throughout her final months, Diana remained focused on preparing William and Harry for the future. She wanted them to understand leadership, not as a position of power, but as an opportunity to serve others. Close friends and advisors have recounted how she instilled in William a sense of duty rooted in compassion. When discussing her humanitarian work, she often told him, "Use your position to help those who have no voice." Tragically, that future was never realized. On August 31st, 1997, Diana's life was cut short in a devastating car crash in Paris. The world watched in shock as William, just 15, and Harry, only 12, walked behind her coffin, their faces etched with grief. Yet, even in her absence, Diana's influence on her sons remained unmistakable. What do you think about the shocking revelation from Princess Diana's letter to her son, Prince William? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.